Something a little different for you guys today. I've been slacking off on these videos. Essentially just living life a little bit outside of my comfort zone, trying new things out and really trying to identify, I guess, what this channel is going to be about and what it is that I want to try and share with the world. So informatively speaking, I get a little bit of a buzz out of helping out because I do know a little bit more stuff than the average person. Not trying to say that I know everything. I'm obviously not a doctor. Shout out Brooklyn 99. And I do want to at least get what I have in my brain out, which is what I think I've been telling you guys from the start. It's like a therapeutic sort of session for me. I get to sort of pump out a little bit of the stuff that's got in my head over the last 20-25 years of being a trainer in person, mostly, and on a corporate level, on a lower level, in the average the average person right up to the elite athlete, as well as the private trainer. Privately worked for 6 years for one family, only exclusively in-house. So you learn a lot of things along these ways, and they challenge you to learn things more than you want to know, and you figure these things out as you go along. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is I ramble on a lot. Apologize, JB. But what I want to do is this session is going to be going out to my buddy Jeremy in Nashville. So he's always been asking questions. He's always felt like he can, I guess, trust what I say. Now, whether I'm right or wrong is irrelevant, but the guy trusts what I say. So this session is going out to you, Jeremy. I told him I'd make a session with him with all the little tips and tricks, the little things that I think would be helpful for him. He's extremely motivated, mid-20s dude who is in the gym and on his health journey, and along with a whole bunch of other things in his life, which I think I really admire, because I wish I was in that position and had sort of mentorship like I think he has, or good friends around him like I think he has when I was his age. But anyway, I want to put this video out for him. So it'll be a bunch of things I've actually written down. So I'll be doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 exercises for him today. I'll be going through a little bit of a warm-up with it myself first off camera, because I'll be touching on some of these exercises that I haven't done in quite some time, but also just to warm up the muscle itself so that I can do a weighted set, so to speak, if there is weights involved, for the set that I'll be recording. So this is just a slight little introduction, sitting down here trying to help you guys out with this. But I will be doing what looks like some shoulders, some legs, some pulls, some pushes, and a couple of abs. So this is what you got to look forward to, Jeremy. These are the little tips and tricks. I'm not saying this is an actual workout. I'm not saying this is an actual laid out plan. These are just little tips and tricks that I've got from some of these exercises along the way that I think will be beneficial to you specifically. Now, this may help others along the way, which is fantastic. This is exactly what I want to do. It's actually what I'm trying to do as a whole. But I'm going to utilize Jeremy asking for a bit of advice here and there sometimes, as a motivational cue for me to get out here and do these videos. So maybe this is the way the channel is going to go, maybe it's not. I don't know. I'm not part of the future. I'm only part of the present. Here I am, and I'm doing this video for you here today. So I'm going to do a little bit of a warm-up. I've done my stairs, I've done my reverse walking already, and I've also done my little morning routine / recipe outside in the yard. It is around about lunchtime for me now. I think, what did it say, like about 1:10. So this is what I'll be doing, and I hope to see you guys a little future in the endeavors of these videos that I try and go down and support. Please add comments. You can message me anywhere on any platform. If you do follow me, it is mostly Gabe Says Fit on almost all of them. Whether there's dots or underscores or spaces, is on you. You can figure that out. It's not that hard to figure out. But I do appreciate you guys hanging around and doing these kind of things with me, which is what it feels like for me. I feel like I'm talking to the camera, but I'm speaking directly to you, Jeremy, when I'm talking to this. When I'm filming this. I hope that comes across. If it doesn't, just shoot me a message. Let me know how I could maybe make that a little bit better. So I'll see you guys on the first exercise. Peace. So for me, I've always said that it doesn't matter what you do with your weights in your workout with your legs, as long as the muscles aren't activating, those workouts or those exercises will be pointless. So activation of the muscle is more important than the actual exercise itself. Don't worry about what exercise does what. They're all irrelevant, pointless. Does this with, some people are going to say yes, it doesn't matter. All you want to make sure you're doing is the exercise is activating the muscle itself. That's why I see the top end dude, the bodybuilders, okay, they're juicing up, they're using stimulants and exercise. They're using nutrition. Let's call it nutrition. that helps enhances the performance and their growth. Sure, but what they're doing is essentially just stimulating that muscle. Some of them working super hard, some of them not as hard, but not as hard. And it's got to do with stimulation, and then the rest, the recovery and the food, will get you all the results. So this is a pirouette lunge. I will perform it and then quickly tap you through on some of the bits and pieces for it. Now I am also holding this microphone because I forgot my little lav. So I'll try and do this at the same time. Hold on at the same time. What I'm trying to do is trying to activate the glute medius. The glute medius is the part on the outside of the butt, not the big major part, but the medius, medium, in the middle. There's 3. So glute medius. I'll hold on to this, not a problem with that. And as you're going out, you're just essentially just going out and you try and tap to the side, okay? Going out, you try and tap to the side. It looks like this from the side, from the front, out to the side, tap here. There's a little warm-up exercise you can do. You can call it a warm-up. I can do a full set of these. I used to do these with professional athletes all day, every day. And you'll be surprised what this will do. This will activate the VMO, the vastus medialis, and the glute medius, which are supporting each other. I've explained this in previous videos before. And we're just going out to the side. This part here is just stabilizing because I have really unstable and unfit knees. And they're actually in relative pain as we speak, but I'll go through this no matter what. Going out to the side, just tapping in here, okay? Going out to the side and just tapping in here. I'm not leaning my body weight across. I'm keeping all my body weight on this leg. This arm holds onto something just to stabilize. I'm not pulling off of it, and I'm not pushing off of it, nor am I pulling myself up. It's just, you can see here, just lightly tapping so that I don't fall over, all right? Then I'm going out and just tapping across. This will burn the absolute living daylights out of your glute medius. It will activate your vastus medialis. So that's exercise 1, buddy. Get into those prior to doing your squats if you do them, or your deadlifts if you do those, and you'll see a difference. In saying that, please do make sure that during those bigger movements, like the squats and the deadlifts and the leg presses, that you try and connect the mind to that muscle, okay? The big glutes, the big ass part, you're not gonna have to worry about that too much. That's gonna activate with some work. But the medius and the minimus, the smaller two, they're gonna need some connection, all right? So keep on to that. I'll see you guys on the next exercise. Right, the next one is the rear delt. Well, I call it Job exercise, an old school exercise for physiotherapy stuff. So essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the rear part of the delt here, activate and contract. So this is part of the activation stuff I talked about prior. This exercise, essentially you're just trying to, let me see if this works. There we go, let's do this. Right, that'll do it. So this exercise, essentially you're just trying to activate the shoulder blades and connect those together behind you, and then bending forward slightly just to change the angle of using gravity. And then we're going to bend the elbows at 90 degrees, keep the elbows tucked into the side of your torso, and just rotate out. Now you'll see from the front that my elbows are not sticking out. I'm not doing any sort of fly, not doing any sort of movement that way. I'm just rotating, all right? You can imagine like a rod sticking through, or like an extension of your bone, your arm bone, going up to the roof and down to the floor and being stuck. All you can do is pivot from it. You can't actually move it around. There's only one dimension, and that's the rotation that's allowed or able to be had. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to do just that movement there. All right, we'll get it set out. I'll do a few this way and then change the other side. So you guys can see I'm using gravity just to rotate around a little bit. From here, it looks like this from the front. Then slightly bow forward, and that's it. Just a little bit of forward momentum. Forward bow. Rotating out this way. Right, gonna go into the next exercise. There's not much to be had here, and I know I have explained this to Jeremy before, and this is specifically for Jeremy. If you have any questions, just hit me up in the DMs. I'll go into more details, but that's pretty much it. It's a pretty simple exercise. All right, next one is a slightly older exercise. I don't think I've done this with any of the boys before, and they might not think it's too aesthetically pleasing, but this is one of my favorites. This is one I've done for a good 5, 6, 7 years of this, especially with clients, customers, especially some of the girls that were doing the fitness competitions. So If there are any of you guys in here watching or listening, give that a like and a comment, maybe add a little bit of your perspective to this. But this one is essentially trying to trigger and activate the glutes and the hamstrings within the movement of the posterior chain. The posterior chain being all the muscles that are connected from basically your forehead right around the back of your head, down your neck, your back, your butt, your hamstrings, to the heel of your feet, and sometimes even connecting under the sole of the feet to the tip of the toes. There is a fascia that connects all those together with the rear posterior chain. And this exercise will activate a lot of those and combine a lot of them into functional movement, which is what you'll see here. So essentially the general instructions of this is I'm going to keep my legs relatively straight, but without being stiff straight. So what I call soft. I'm going to tap the floor with the dumbbells, almost like I'm playing drums. Not literally tapping like this, but I'm talking about tap the floor. Then as I rise up, you'll see the movement. As I rise up, I connect the rear delts into that connection of the rear shoulder blades together that I talked about prior. So you go into that movement and then start the raise of the lateral raise. Because what it'll be like I'll step forward, then I'll stand up and do a lateral raise. I'll step forward, tap the ground, step back into a lateral raise. I'll be alternating legs as I do this, all right? You'll see that. But essentially, tap, rear, tap, rear. By rear, I'm saying as I tap and my shoulder blade is in front of me, I bring the shoulder blade to the rear. I connect the rear. I'm thinking about that posterior chain I talked about. I'm connecting all of that fascia together. Tap, connect everything and lift. As you get tired, and you'll see this during the movement, the dumbbell gets a little bit heavier, I guess. The pushing of the leg helps create a little bit of momentum into raising that dumbbell out to the side in the lateral raise part, which is what I'm saying in practical movement. You're putting these things together, all right? There's not often that you'll sit there perfectly still and raise your dumbbells out to the side, unless you're a bodybuilder and you're specifically trying to target the building of the muscle. But in movement in everyday life, you're going to be connecting 2, 3, 4, 5 movements together. And this is kind of where this is coming from. This is extremely an athletic and movement-based exercise. It's not something I would do for bodybuilding or muscle building as such, although it will, because you will find yourself able to do more of the weight by connecting all these together. But you need to build time, strength and connection over time in order to be able to pull in a decently heavy weight in that. Plus it'll gas you out, which is kind of cool. So I'm put this mic down and I'm gonna try to settle those out for you guys. So they're not as hard as you think when it comes to the lightweight or the movement. I have spent years connecting these movements and stuff together anyway, so maybe it's a little easier for me on this time bar. That's the simple part of the exercise. Try them out, love it. Give me your recommendations on whether you think it's explained properly or not. But I'm going to switch on to the next exercise. All right, so this here is a front squat. Not many people actually do this exercise. I don't know why. I guess maybe because you can't really lift that much weight with it. Everybody's kind of lifting a bit more egotistically these days, which is fine. I do too. But when it comes to the actual performance of the quad, the front squat, I think, is one of the most important exercises for this. So I'm going to demonstrate this. It's not rocket science. It's pretty simple. I mean, the squat is the squat. It is what it is. It's not going to do too much more than what the squat does. But as I said before, it's about connecting that exercise to the muscle, to the brain. So the brain connecting the exercise and the muscles together is the most important part. I'll have my feet elevated, as in heels elevated, by staying on these dumbbells here, standing on these dumbbells. Sorry, dumbbells, on these plates. They're lower than the actual plates that I would typically, or the actual area or the bar that I would typically do this exercise on. But I'm also doing a little bit more weight than I typically would do too. Even though it's just a bar of 20 kilos, 45 pounds, It's more than I would do because I do have terrible, terrible knees. I have no ACL, no PCLs connecting in both left and right knees, just through sheer stupidity. But I do the most I can. And I try and keep active with that as well while they're moving. There's no point in them deteriorating or the actual strength in the knee deteriorating just because I have this excuse of not having these stabilizing ligaments. I'll still do what I can do. Weight-wise, in 1 or 2 planes, I'm generally okay, apart from pain, but I can manage that. But I will not be doing too much physically, athletically, or sporting capacities very often, as I do have to spend a month or so recovering from that after. But I enjoy those times when I do that. Last week I went out at 45 years old and still dunked at 6'3" and 110 kilos, which I think is about 235, 240 pounds or something, which I consider myself not bad, considering the last time I did I was 34, so 11 years ago. So cool. Anyway, I'm just going to pop these out, pop this little thing here. Just load the bar on the shoulder. I push against my neck and I hold through my neck by pushing the bar into the neck itself. Make sure the knees are fairly fit in alignment. The heels are on the plates. Not even sure you guys can understand what I'm saying here. But this is it here. As you go lower, you lift the elbows. This stops the bar from rolling down. And why not? Seem like it, but as I'm going down, I'm literally. As I said earlier, it's not a big weight, but it's about movement, activation, and the quads get a lot more activation because the heels are lifted. I can go deeper into the squat, which goes and stretches or pre-stretches the quad more than typically you would do without going all the way down. That allows you to activate that muscle. You may not be able to do a heavy squat all the way down like the cool kids do, but I'm still activating the quad with the right depth and stretch with that heel elevated on the plates. Right, see you on the next one. Okay, so we're in the machine for this one, and I'm a fan of this. This is what I call a cross body single arm lat pull down. So a lat pull down, obviously, as you can see, but these free motion ones that have the 2 stabilized ends versus the one in the center are going to be a little better than this, a little better for this, although you can find ways with the singular stabilization pulley in the middle. These are going to be slightly better because I want you to cross over your body. Right, the whole point of this is to cross over the body to pull. Okay, you may have seen a few of these on my Instagram when I post what I'm doing on an everyday basis, but these ones are literally trying to stretch the muscle out as much as you can prior to the contraction. Pre-stretch activation. Okay, the activation is key, as I keep preaching on. So pre-stretching it, if you don't have the ability to connect it with your mind, is a good tip or a good tool to use. And this being all the way across, reaching across your body and up higher than you possibly can. Because up here you can see, I'm not getting a full stretch out of this. This is literally sitting at the bottom, right? But from here, across here, now I'm all the way over here. I don't even think I can actually, there you go. I think I can just get it to sit, but I've got to get out of my center. And if I stay in my center by having my legs activated inside the bar, then I can essentially just pull from here. Okay, this one, I can hold the mic at the same time. I'm letting it pull me all the way up on that angle, obviously, but I'm not letting my body go across. I'm staying still. And I'm doing that by pushing into the ground with my heels and up into the pads underneath my knees, or over my knees. And I'm pulling all the way through. Not only the pulling part with the arm, but I'm contracting the rear, under the scapula, the shoulder blades, and in the center of the scapula, the rhomboids in the shoulder blade. All right, and that's the key, is that connection there. All right, this one's a little bit easier as far as an exercise is concerned, because everybody that's doing a regular gym workout will be understanding in the processes of a seated row. Now with the seated row in this condition, in my experience, this condition, and anyway, so with the seated row in my experience, a lot of people are utilizing just their arms more than anything. So this for me is about utilizing your lats. This is your back, right? It's a back exercise. You do use your arms a little bit, obviously, to pull, and obviously a lot in my case, because I'm prone to connecting my arm muscles in both the push and the pull more than the bigger part. And that's just, whatever. So doing a little bit of research, experimenting, and getting a lot of help from mentors and coaches that I've had in the past, I've been able to find little tips and tricks on how to activate the lats more, or the back more, or the chest more, instead of just gaining bigger biceps and triceps. So in this one, the movement I'm going to explain without the weight first, and that is, most of us will sit still because they tell us to sit still and not use our backs, right? I don't know why they do that, but they do that. And it's just trying to get us to pull. So when you're doing this movement on itself, without really utilizing your back too much, you're going to maybe get a little bit of back activation, because if you're contracting that and connecting that with your mind, then you're going to get some. But the best way to do it is to keep the arms slightly bent, so never fully locked out straight. Keep it slightly bent, and then when you reach maximum pull there before it's actually locked out, you bow. Now when you bow, you're also letting the shoulder blade ride forward, all right? So you're doing a full forward, or what would be an upward movement. If you're standing in this plane, you're letting that go forward, and then you're pulling that not only down and back as you're going backwards with your back into that seated L position. I like to lean back a little bit more than vertical, so leaning back a little bit more. So you're pulling that. Then the last little part is that bicep contraction, just to squeeze your back. My mind is in my back the whole time. It's not in my biceps or in my grip. Those two things are going to work regardless, but it's in that elevation of the shoulder, the squeezing it down, wrapping it back as I get all the way back, and then the pull. So it's like 3 or 4 different parts there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Down, back, sit up, pull. Now, if you do those in one movement, it looks like this, right? I'm also utilizing hamstrings, glutes, in all that, calves, because I'm stabilizing on this. Sounds silly, I know, but it's a big posterior chain workout. Mic down, getting it done. This will allow me to lift a little bit more weight than usual as well, which I'm a big fan of, because I think the back is much stronger than the arms. So you will fatigue out at the weakest link in the chain, the chink in the chain. The break, the part that will actually stop you from being able to do more, is the weakest part in chin-ups. So it would be your grip. In this, it could be your grip, although I do use straps when this gets heavy. But technically speaking, my bicep will probably pump out and start to really blow up and not allow me to do too much more before my back gets its full workout. So that's what I do with that. And those are the 2 back exercises. I'm going to go out there and do the 2 chest exercises, or push movements, and then the abs at the end. See you guys there. This is a single arm push down. This really help with the activation of the chest muscle itself on a singular basis. So some of us, or most of us, have a left side or a right side that's stronger than the other, and that allows us with a bar to compensate on one or the other. And this can lead to a lot of shoulder injuries. So what I find is, in order to really stabilize the strength between the left and the right, that you go into a single arm and using the cable. The cable allows you to use a few more other dimensions, right? 3 dimensions or 3 planes of movement. This will allow you at least an extra one on top of that. So quickly, nice and simply, it's bent over at almost a 90-degree angle with your back. Go comfortably there. It's up to you. Obviously, the angle that you are going to be at will determine whether it's more of a decline, a flat. I don't think you can bow enough to do an incline, but technically speaking, that can happen too.
So be aware of that. I do more of an angle about 50, 60, 70 degrees, so it's a little bit of a decline. I feel stronger there. My shoulder issues don't flare up. My elbow seems to be pretty good in that position. And I can lift a decent amount of weight, which is putting a lot of tension and pressure into the shoulder and the chest, which allows me to feel a little bit more strength and strength gains, which is what I'm trying to do. So, put the little microphone down and see if I can get this done for you. So the hand behind my back is not a big thing. Just me, allows me not to be able to get into crunch position and allow my other chest muscle to work. So I kind of open it up and I move my hand around every once in a while. If you saw that, it's to feel that on my back to allow me to keep my back straight. It's like just a little mental exercise I do to keep that trigger of keeping that posture the way that I want it to be. The rest of it, pretty simple push. I did find myself a couple of times going into shoulder, letting the shoulder ride forward by trying to push too far down. The depth of the bar itself, the depth of the handle itself, doesn't matter how close this is to the ground, is irrelevant. It's about the flexion and the movement you're getting in the chest. So if I'm pushing down this way, and this is the maximum amount that chest is contracted, I'm squeezing that contraction with my mind. There's no point in doing this even further. That's not going to do any more. I've already fully contracted through my chest here anyway. All right. So that's essentially what I'm trying to do there. I just found myself pushing it because I was trying to go across the body a little too much, which you don't need to do, but can if you like. But anyway, that's it. Single arm, cable, bend over, push down. I'm using the chin up bar up top here. So this is a combination of the two things that I think really help the connection of the frontal plane. We did earlier in the video, the posterior chain. This is the frontal plane. So in this one, we're going to be lifting our legs up as high as we can. Who cares if it's 90 degrees exactly or not? Just do as high as you can. The key is to hold on to that. So keep the weight, the legs and the resistance of the legs in front of you at that level, whatever level that may be, 60 degrees, 68 degrees, 75 degrees, I don't care. Just keep it at that level while you do the chin up and come back down in control. There's no kipping. Although I like kipping, there's no kipping in this exercise as far as the chin-up is concerned. So it's purely activating, but it's also using the lat as a stabilizer while you're doing the pull-up to keep the frontal part of the muscles activated. The hip flexor, the rectus abdominis, and the sternocleidomastoid are the three main muscles in the front part of the frontal plane. So hopefully this will be activating all of those. I'm not sure if you know how to activate those muscles or where they actually are, but just look them up. It's your throat muscle, your six pack, and your hips. Let's give these a shot. Yes, please. Let's add more of those into our workouts. Been a while since I've done those, but I'll be adding these to my weekly routine, Jeremy. I like those a lot. Anyway, pretty simple. Got those on my hips, obviously, because they're utilizing the weight distribution of my legs. Forcing that into the six pack, which I did feel. I do cramp in my six pack a lot, so I can feel that coming on, so I'm working in. Throat, well, maybe if I'm talking too much, my throat's good at it. Activating anyway. But anyway, and record this with my phone. So this is the last exercise of the movement, big base movements, and then I'll do a little ab exercise on the end there. This is a cable pull, rotation, and push. So what I call a cable wood chop. It's just a dynamic wood chop, okay? So in this movement, I'm going to be doing a one arm pull with the cable, rotating the wood chop part, and then a single arm push after that, all in one movement. So it's like 3: pull, rotate, and push, but in one dynamic movement, combining all 3 of those movements into one athletic movement, so to speak, right? Athletic movements are generally a lot of these different small movements and small parts of movements put into one, but this is one of those equations. I'm going to try and show you the left side and the right side of this. I'll do 5 each side just to show you that, just to see what's going on there. Please keep attention or mind my footwork, which is what this is kind of all about, because the pulling and the pushing is not dramatically a high weight. So it's not too drastic in the pulling and the pushing part. It's the rotation. Think of it as a wood chop. Think of it as an ab exercise more than a pull or a push. Yeah. So we'll see how we go with that. Now, if I had a proper tripod, I'd be able to put the camera a little further back, and you'll see that I would then stand a little further away from the machine itself. That wouldn't allow for the extension to have the weights hit themselves at the bottom here. I want that full constant tension on the muscles, so I would actually stand a little further away. In saying that, I've had to use the magnet on the back of my phone and connect it to essentially this little part here, but on the other side. So I can't really go and put that anywhere or as much as I want. So this is a slightly modified little section of the example, but you can get the gist of what I'm talking about. Look, it's essentially just about the activation of everything. Some of these exercises I've come across have been implemented through the activation part of the kinetic energy transfer of the athletic movement part of connecting the mind and muscle, all right? So this is, I think, also going to be very beneficial for people who are doing bodybuilding, because activation is key there. Flexing in the middle of the exercise or flexing at the end of the movement, depending on which exercise it is, also very important for muscle building and strength building. But do not forget that you need to add a little bit of the functional type stuff. I'm not saying you need to do a full functional workout, because I don't like doing these full functional workouts. So I'm not going to suggest that you do them too. If I'm not willing to do it myself, I'm not going to ask you to do it. But I do add some function to the exercises, right? A lateral raise with a single Romanian deadlift. These things are like that 3rd exercise we did earlier. They like combining these 2 together. They also make sense in the I'm bending over in front of me and picking something up movement, right? So these type of exercises are good to add. I might do another video or a part 2 of this if this one goes well, and find another 8 to 10 exercises that I've done along the years of training that have been implementing these type of bodybuilding / strength building / functional movements, and incorporating them into 1, 2, maybe 3 little movements in one exercise, as you saw in the rotational exercises over there. That's a pull, rotation, wood chop, and a push at the same time. The L-sit is very similar as well, as there is an isolation contraction. As we know, we have concentric, eccentric, and isometric contractions to muscles, the shortening, the lengthening, and the hold. So the L-sit is a hold, an isometric contraction, which is good for you, as well as the contraction of essentially a crunch, or the concentric part of a crunch, and the eccentric part of maybe a knees to elbows or toes to bar. So anyway, too much talking already. I know how it goes, but I'll see you guys on the next one. I appreciate it if you like, subscribe, share, post, repost, all these things that these apps do. Get onto that if you would, please. I do try to get this channel to grow a little bit, so little sharing helps, regardless of whether it actually gets watched or not, or if you can just watch it, as I say, put it on mute, let it play in the background. It's going to help me out in the end. A little bit of monetization, not going to help anybody, not going to hurt anybody, but will definitely help me along the path and along the journey to produce a little bit more of these videos for you. See you guys on the next video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Peace.